If they don't relaunch it, then there's 6 more titles, and we're going upwards of 20 titles canceled in 2025 alone. 10 issues is not a comic book run. 10 issues is a slap in the face of the term ongoing comic book series. This weird cancel culture going on at Marvel, not canceling creators, not canceling fans, just canceling books constantly. Iron Man is the new Captain Marvel. It's just constantly being rebooted. Hell, I just remembered I forgot Captain America. Captain America got canceled this year. Cancel culture at Marvel Comics is really getting out of hand. Just a couple of years ago, Dan Buckley, speaking at Comics Pro, was like, we're going to commit to longer runs on Marvel Comics. I'm greenlighting books for a minimum of 10 issues. And for some reason, this dedication to longer runs has now resulted in much shorter runs. It feels like everything is being canceled in 2025. This week, we got 5 more cancellations on Marvel books. Of course, there's no announcement for any of this stuff. They just kind of stop soliciting things and act like the book never existed. And I do think this is a major detriment to Marvel Comics. And one of the reasons people are having a very difficult time really buying into Marvel Comics and wanting to support them these days. Marvel is once again drawing heat from both fans and retailers, this time for a new strategy that's rubbing just about everyone the wrong way. In 2025, Marvel has canceled 13 ongoing comic series, but here's the catch. They're not even bothering to tell retailers or readers. Titles are quietly being pulled without any official notice, leaving shops and readers completely in the dark. For comparison, DC Comics has only canceled 3 books so far this year, and they actually acknowledge those cancellations. To make matters worse, Marvel's executive editor, Tom Brevoort, recently made waves by suggesting that fans shouldn't care if their favorite books get axed quickly. That comment hasn't exactly gone over well with longtime readers who've invested years into these characters and storylines. And this doesn't even count the Ultimate Universe stuff that apparently is all going to be canceled here in a few months as well. That's what the co-writer, co-scripter of Ultimate X-Men put out there on social media. Now, that tweet was deleted, and I don't really know what to make of it. Are those 5 or 6 more cancellations, or is that just going to be a full reboot of the universe? I think it's probably a full reboot of the universe. The maker comes back, they change some things, and then they relaunch it with all new number 1s, which is a very Marvel thing to do. So the number is probably even higher than 13 or potentially higher than 13, depending how all of this Ultimate Universe stuff pans out. If they don't relaunch it, then there's 6 more titles, and we're going upwards of 20 titles canceled in 2025 alone. And it is becoming increasingly more difficult to buy in or believe that Marvel Comics are really going to do anything with these characters. Even A-list or B-list superheroes and teams seem to be getting the axe quite regularly these days. Among the most notable cancellations that happened this past week are some major names. Daredevil was quietly in it at issue 25. West Coast Avengers is being stopped at issue 10, and New Champions is wrapping up after just 8 issues. There are also strong rumors that both Psylocke and Magic are also being cut at issue number 10, though Marvel hasn't confirmed anything. Fans and retailers alike have been left guessing, as no formal statement or press release has been issued. For people who were following these series month to month, the abrupt endings with zero closure feels like a slap in the face, and that growing sense of alienation is starting to boil over, and we're certainly seeing this with the interest in Marvel Comics these days. We're seeing that the sales aren't strong. Just revealed, ASM sales are at 48,000. Right now, One World Under Doom, the big event that should be elevating sales on Fantastic Four and other books, down at 40,000. Numbers we haven't really seen in the modern age of comic books when it comes to sales. And I believe Marvel have no one to blame but themselves. Not only is there an enormous quality issue, and that's basically across the board, where they have very few reliable writers that draw fans in these days. They've got a lot of bad writers, and they put them on multiple books. But there's also the issue where nothing lasts. You're lucky if a new ongoing series makes it past 10 issues. And that is absolutely ridiculous. 10 issues is not a comic book run. 10 issues is a mini-series. 10 issues is a slap in the face of the term ongoing comic book series. If your ideas are so bad they can't make it past 10, maybe we should stop greenlighting stuff, go back to the drawing board, and see what's going wrong. Why is there no interest? Why can nothing go past 10 issues? And I do think this constant cycle of reboots, this weird cancel culture going on at Marvel, not canceling creators, not canceling fans, just canceling books constantly, is turning a lot of people off, because how many stories can you really tell in 10 issues? A modern writer might get one story done if they actually complete it. They might have to shorten it up. If you're lucky, you'll get 2 complete finished stories in a 10-issue run. And that's absolutely ridiculous. A run should be at least 50 issues. And you see DC having many titles going over 100 issues. Right now, I think they have a Poison Ivy series going over 35. That would be the longest ongoing series at Marvel Comics right now. That's how weird this cancel stuff has gotten when it comes to just canceling all their books outright all the freaking time. But it doesn't stop there. The cancellation list for 2025 continues with Iron Man, X-Factor, X-Force, NYX, Werewolf by Night, Spider-Boy, The Spectacular Spider-Men, Deadpool, and Weapon X-Men. All were quietly cut, often after only 10 or 15 issues. With no explanations given, fans are left to piece together what's happening based on rumors and secondhand info. And it certainly feels like it's 100% deliberate. They just want to get back constantly to that number one issue, as if that number one is going to save the longevity of anything. Every time you cancel one of these series abruptly, and then you relaunch it 3 or 4 months later, less people are going to be willing to sample that book unless it has an A-list creator on it. Jonathan Hickman is probably the only A-lister that Marvel has these days, and it does feel like even his popularity with Marvel Comics fans is waning at this point. There's only so many things that Jonathan Hickman can do for Marvel Comics in a calendar year to generate enthusiasm. If they want to continue to do this, they're going to have to go and get Todd McFarlane to come back. They're going to have to go get Mark Miller to come back. They're going to have to go bring in Scott Snyder to the fold. They're going to have to go get Jeff Johns, creators with real name appeal that are actually going to boost sales in that number one issue, and whose name being attached to the project makes them believe it might go on longer than a calendar freaking year. And it's ridiculous that Marvel Comics have gotten to this point, but they don't really seem to care. We have heard from Tom Brevoort talking about, hey, you really shouldn't worry about your favorite comic book being canceled after 5 issues or 10 issues or 15 issues. Just enjoy it while you have it. Well, why can't I count on you to greenlight projects that you believe in, that you're actually going to see through to some type of logical conclusion that feels like there's something to it? There's some weight to the run. Because 10 issues is not a run. It's an abomination, and that's kind of where they are. And then they've got their other tricks that they've been doing for quite some time now as well, which is somehow even more frustrating than just canceling everything. Making things even worse is Marvel's growing habit of canceling books only to reboot them immediately with a shiny new number one issue. It's a transparent sales tactic, and fans know it. In April, Amazing Spider-Man was rebooted again, and now Fantastic Four, Thor, and Scarlet Witch have all restarted from issue number 1 in 2025 as well. What's particularly frustrating is that the writers didn't even change. It's the same creative teams, just slapped with new numbering. That kind of marketing gimmick might give a short-term boost, but it undermines the long-term trust fans used to have in Marvel storytelling. And this stupid little gimmick used to just be quarantined to like Captain Marvel comics or Miss Marvel comic books. And in those cases, I kind of understand it. Those are embarrassing titles that they feel obligated to put out so they can have female heroes, but they put no star power behind. They don't really care if they sell. So they're constantly rebooting. Why change the writer? Just keep it going or whatever. Because those characters, quite frankly, are so unimportant, it's not even funny. When this really started to piss me off was like with Daredevil. Chip Zdarsky and Marco Cicchetto's run, widely acclaimed. The first run concludes with a big event, Devil's Reign or whatever, and then they reboot it to a number one issue with Chip Zdarsky and Marco Cicchetto still on the book. And even with the recent Amazing Spider-Man reboot, Joe Kelly is the new writer, but Joe Kelly was the writer on Amazing Spider-Man after Zeb Wells to finish his run. So in that case, they kind of just continued on with the same writer as well. What was the point of renumbering it? We are literally continuing the exact same status quo that Joe Kelly ended up on with that stupid 8 Deaths of Spider-Man story. Nothing's really changed. He just continued on what he was doing. Why renumber it? Sure, you get a bump on that number one issue, and you do get all those awesome variant cover sales and all that kind of stuff. But by issue 3 or 4, you're down to 48,000 in sales, which is less than what Zeb Wells was doing. It's that embarrassing. Yes, I did go back to my source. The Joe Kelly run is already selling less than the Zeb Wells run. Immortal Thor by Al Ewing is being rebooted to Thor by Al Ewing. He did the exact same thing. He wrote Venom, 2 or 3 years? And then rebooted it to all new Venom. Steve Orlando is still on the Scarlet Witch book. Now there's just an extra character on it. Fantastic Four is in the middle of this big One World Under Doom event that is absolutely failing right now. And they're rebooting it right at the end of the event, even though One World Under Doom should really be a Fantastic Four-centric event. But Ryan North is still the writer. This stuff really starts to add up on people, and they just quietly walk away. And that's kind of what we're seeing with Marvel Comics these days, because nobody really wants to buy into any of this stuff because they don't believe in it anymore. How has Iron Man already failed? They put some political writer that nobody had ever heard of, hadn't really written any comic books, Spencer Ackerman, on what should be one of their more important titles, Iron Man. He was the face of the MCU for all those years, although the MCU isn't what it was. But Robert Downey Jr. is returning, as Doom in the not-too-distant future. You would think that they would put something into Iron Man, but Iron Man is the new Captain Marvel. It's just constantly being rebooted. Hell, I just remembered I forgot Captain America. Captain America got canceled this year after JMS's very disappointing run and is about to be rebooted with Chip Zdarsky. So I guess it's 14 comic books that have been outright canceled. It's absolutely ridiculous. I'm forgetting titles that were canceled this year because there are so many of them. And fans and retailers aren't even getting behind enormous initiatives and reboots of franchises, let alone characters these days. Marvel's X-Men relaunch under Tom Brevoort, titled From the Ashes, is already in serious trouble. In less than a year, X-Factor, X-Force, NYX, Psylocke, Magic, Deadpool, and Weapon X-Men have all been canceled. That's a major chunk of the mutant lineup gone almost as soon as it arrived. The relaunch was supposed to reset and revitalize the franchise after the end of the Krakoa era, but instead it's quickly becoming a cautionary tale about how not to build momentum. For fans hoping for a strong, stable future for the X-Men, this is looking more like another false start than a new beginning. And how many more books do we think are going to join that list by the end of the year? Do you really believe Phoenix, Storm, and Exceptional X-Men are going to make it through a calendar year? Can Wolverine survive with a writer like Saladin Ahmed on the book? He couldn't even last with fucking Daredevil, a character that's certainly not an A-list character, but he has long runs. He has longevity in comic books. He already turned their fans off, and I imagine he's going to do the same thing under Wolverine. I've already almost completely bounced out of that book. It's maybe their best ongoing, and it's not good. Marvel's X-Men line under Tom Brevoort is a complete dumpster fire, and you can see why when he's out there saying, don't worry if that run that you invested in that you like only makes it to 5 issues or 8 issues or 10 issues. It's no big deal. We'll relaunch it anyway. It is the exact wrong message to put out there, and I almost feel like I have to deliver a mea culpa to Jordan fucking White and say, you know what? You weren't so bad, kid. It feels like maybe you managed the X-Men line more professionally and in a better manner than Tom Brevoort, who is Marvel Comics' longest tenured employee and has completely destroyed the latest relaunch of X-Men, and they're going to have to go back and relaunch it again within 24 months. I guarantee it, because they just don't have the sales, and they are having to outright cancel everything because he doesn't like the characters, he doesn't really care much about the fans, and he absolutely has a master's degree in turning readers off these days. If you appreciate this kind of no-holds-barred honesty when it comes to comic books and really nailing Marvel, who deserve it more than anybody these days, you can only get it in one place on YouTube. That is Thinking Critical. But if you would like more of this and you would like to support the mission, help us keep the lights on, the videos flowing every single day, the place to do that is Thinking Critical Patreon. We got lots of bonus podcasts. If you support us there, there's a link in the video description. There's a button right here. And I do hope to see you very, very soon.